Well, welcome back then, and hopefully you can hear the dulcet tones of me. That's very unfortunate for you. But we're here for the GPVWC Superlights 2022, and this time, after the summer break, we head to the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza, where we start our gallop towards the end of the season. Only 5 rounds to go, this being our last European race on the calendar before we all jump on that metaphorical plane to Singapore, to Japan, to Mexico, and to Brazil to round off the season. Hopefully you'll be joining us along the way and enjoy the journey as we get very much closer to the start of this race. Just a quick overview of the championship as we head into this one. Simon Frelick 152 at the top of the order. Luke Maguire in second place on 146, 6 points behind our championship leader. And third place in the championship is Jan Granqvist, 2 wins out of 3 from his last 3 races. Puts him in good position heading in towards that summer break. Summer break is over now. Everybody's had a chance to hit that reset button and get themselves ready for the last charge to the season finale at Brazil. And I do wonder how this is all going to play out. Monza then, very much a high-speed circuit, 5.7 kilometers. The lap time here is not going to take you that long whatsoever. You're looking at about the 122s in the qualifying session we were seeing earlier on today, but it will be Jake Dennehan who will start on pole position, drafted in as a emergency signing for Super Venturi, and he's only gone and stuck it on pole position. In fact, it's Jan Granqvist who starts alongside him today in this one, and on the run down towards the Rettifilio chicane, one of the toughest first corners on the calendar. And there you can see then Jake Dennehan on pole position, Jan Granqvist in second place, Luke Maguire in third, with Fabian Sershik rounding off the top 2 rows. Sandeep Singh will start in 5th place. Alongside him will be Simon Frelick down there completing the 3rd row. Lewis Becker's in 7th place, and Senna Stoffmeal rounds off our top 8. Dylan Platt will be in 9th place, with Pascal Polenz rounding off the top 10. Giuseppe Saracino in 11th place, with Luke Mitchell in 12th position. In 13th place is going to be Menno Klont, and in 14th place it's Matthias Dabrowski. 15th place Chris Butcher, with 16th place Mateusz Guzowski rounding off our 16 there. Sylvie Offert in 17th place, with Perseus Miram in 18th, and all on his lonesome, position number 19 is Ben Willis, and that rounds off your order for Superlights here at Monza. And such is the, I was going to say short lap. It's not a short lap, it's 5.7 kilometers here at Monza, but it flies by. Lap time pole position was a 122.1 from Jake Dennehan. So that is how quick these cars can go around this circuit. Of course, once we get a bit of race fuel on board, that does slightly change with the heavier fuel loads. But expect really low aero, and for the Ascari chicane right at the end of the lap to be one of the testing factors. You've also got the Lesmo corners as well, right at the top of the circuit, which do test the medium speed efficiency of your car, and will really have something to worry about. As you can see, not many starting on the soft tyres today, but a lot of medium runners in this one. Also a handful of hard tyres. We've got Dabrowski, Butcher and Guzowski all on the hard tyres to start this one. Dennehan, Granqvist, we've got Sershik, and we've got Bickers and Stoffmeal all on the softs. Everybody else, though, is going to be starting on a set of medium tyres. And of course, you do think, oh, there's not many corners here at Monza, I should be fine. The problem is the race distance as well. 5.7 kilometre lap. It is a longer lap than you expect here in Italy. But the cars are lining up on the grid as we speak. It's a Super Venturi 1-2. Will they be able to keep it that way for the rest of the race? I guess there's only one way to find out, and that's by getting our teeth stuck into this Italian Grand Prix. We're moments away then from 44 laps worth of racing here at the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza as we head to 5 red lights. And we're racing in Italy. What are the starts like? It's a great start then from Jake Dennehan, and that's Luke Maguire who tries to cut off onto the right-hand side of the track then. Oh, we've got a big collision in the background then. Someone almost flipping over as we head our way down in towards the Rettifilio chicane. There's debris everywhere. 3-4 cars without a front wing, 1 car even without a rear wing as they have to rejoin onto the circuit then. As Super Venturi is 1-2 at the moment. Luke Maguire managing to gallop away from the rest of the field as we try and see Jan Granqvist then look for a move up the inside. He couldn't quite get that move done as we head our way in towards the Roger chicane. Now on towards the Lesmo corners then. We'll have to see who was involved in those collisions, and I think Surshik and Bickers were 2 cars involved in that melee. Sandeep Singh, I think, as well involved in that, first corner melee. We didn't even get to the first corner before all mayhem and carnage ensued. Meanwhile, then, we have a look in the background then to see, in our midfield, who's going to get those better starts then, as we see Stoffmeal here try and put the pressure on Platt up ahead through in towards the Ascari chicane we go, as we then get back onto the back. It's a good run from Stoffmeal then. Can he try and get a run on Dylan Platt as we make our way up towards the final corner here? He has got the inside line of turn 11. Can he just get himself the inside with that line? Yes, he can. And that is Senna Stoffmeal, who moves out up into 4th place. But it's a big gap between himself and the top 3 positions at the moment. Well, Jake Dennehan starts the second lap in the lead. Jan Granqvist in 2nd place with Luke Maguire in 3rd. Then it's Senna Stoffmeal in 4th place. You see there Dylan Platt having to go slightly defensive as we head our way in towards the Rettifilio chicane. There's Mateusz Gusowski as we've got someone off in the background. Then a little bit of a spin, maybe a half spin from someone behind. Silver Yoffert we jump over to, as he's P15 at the moment. We've got Simon Frelick, who is in the pit lane as we speak, but there is Silver Yoffert trying to go round the outside of, I think that's Perseus Miram. It is. He now gets the inside line going in towards the Roger chicane, and Silver Yoffert then gets his way up the order. He's now up into P14. Meanwhile, we head our way down the Curva del Seraglio then, as Jan Granqvist trying to just stay within that range to maybe work together the Super Venturi cars to try and break away from Luke Maguire. And both of them, well, Granqvist goes purple through Sector 1, Dennehan goes purple through Sector 2. They're setting their marks early here. They want to run away as quickly as they possibly can in towards the final corner here, as we get our way back out of Parabolica, back onto the power, heading our way down the start-finish straight. Oh, that's someone taking a detour. That's Luke Mitchell, who gets a little bit wide coming out in towards Parabolica and loses quite a few positions there, as he might just get a little bit of a sitting duck to Kujovski and Chris Butcher behind. Now he has to try and hold them off, heading towards the Rettifilio chicane. He goes defensive there, and that is Kujovski, who will look round the outside in towards the first part of the corner, then has the inside line for the second part of the Rettifilio chicane. When we get the power down there, you can see Luke Mitchell is still struggling, as now you can see Chris Butcher just easily gets up the inside there. Mitchell dropping all the way down to P12. He was inside the top 10 there, now has to concede and go outside it, at least for the time being. Kujovski then takes full advantage. He's now up into 9th place as we head our way in towards the Lesmos for the 3rd time this race. And the two Hyperion esports cars try and get their way up into the top 10 and try and break their way in towards the higher positions. And make their way now down towards the Curva del Seraglio underneath the old banking then, as we see multiple cars trying to go for position here, and that's Butcher trying to go up the inside of Dabrowski there. Couldn't quite get that one done, but that's going to leave him a little bit of work to do from the car behind him. And Luke Mitchell, who's already trying to find his way back through that little loss of momentum for Chris Butcher there, might have come back to haunt him, but I think he just about held on here. Here's Jan Granqvist then, who gets the move then. Was there any surprise that Granqvist was going to take away the race lead? I don't think so. In towards the Rettifilio chicane. Of course, Jake Dennehan in the, if you like, the... It's always harsh to call it the series below, but that's where he is. He's doing very well in the series below. 3rd place in the standings, so a very good choice for Super Venturi to just rely on in terms of emergency signing. But I suppose for Jake Dennehan here, he last raced in this series at the British Grand Prix earlier on this season, managed a 4th place last time he raced, so it's not like he doesn't have a good turn of pace about him. He's certainly getting on all the right radars, and being on Super Venturi's radar is not a bad place to be. There's Pascal Palenz, who started P10 and now up to P6, so a good start for Palenz then, as he makes his way back onto the power, as we make our way down in towards the Curva del Seraglio and that Road to Formula racing machine. Makes his way now up towards the Ascari chicane, trying to chase down Dylan Platt. these opening stages. Ascari's such a terrifying series of corners if you don't get it right. But Pascal Palenz looks like he's got a lot of momentum on his side. Will he look for a move up the inside of Dylan Platt? No, he won't. He actually backs out of it, lifts off, in fact, as we make our way through. A tighter line from Pascal Palenz means he takes a little bit more speed through the corner. How can he make that work down the start-finish straight and then heading towards the Rettifilo chicane? One of the heaviest braking points, if not the heaviest braking point on the circuit. Palenz then having to go the long way round in towards turn 1. He'll try a switchback going in towards turn 2 to get the power down earlier. Is that going to work against Dylan Platt? Well, we've got a long Curva Grande coming up, and Pascal Palenz will have to go the long way round if he wants this move done. Riding on board with him, he looks to the left-hand side, heading up towards the Roger chicane. He's got the inside line. Again, he backs out of it, though. He's not quite confident to get this move done on Dylan Platt just yet, or if he is, he wants it to be a surefire move. As we head our way through the first Lesmo, still riding on board then with Pascal Palenz in that Road to Formula racing machine. Through the second Lesmo, back onto the power. Sylvie Joffet and Dabrowski changing positions there, just down the order. Kujovski's still in 10th place. Butcher's now up into 9th place, with Menno Klont now up in 8th place. As Pascal Palenz then knows he wants to try and get past Dylan Platt, but he's also got to be careful about Saracino behind him. And Palenz then again gets a very good run through Ascari, but at this point he can't really do anything with it. He might think differently this time, but no, tucks back into that slipstream again, just not quite able to get that move done yet. And the more he thinks about it, the more he dwells on that decision. You can see how much Saracino has closed in on him down the start-finish straight. He's now right into the slipstream now as we head our way towards the Rettifilo chicane. A little bit of toe braking here, down in towards that very first corner. You see there, that's Palenz trying to go up the inside now. Started on the outside of that corner, then ended up on the inside of turn 2. Again, couldn't quite get the car slowed down in time so that he could take full advantage of that scenario. And Saracino, in front of his home fans, is just sitting with the popcorn at the moment. Again, Palenz looks for a move round the outside, but Dylan Platt is driving the widest car you've probably ever seen around Monza, but it's costing a lot of time for Pascal Palenz as Saracino has a bit of a moment in towards the Roger chicane. Now he's being put under pressure from Menno Klont then in towards the Lesmos. As once again we make our way on towards the Curva del Seraglio, watching on this battle for 5th place. 5 cars involved that we can see. Maybe even a 6th might want to join the battle and join the party as well. Why not? As Palenz then making his way through in towards Ascari. We've seen the last couple of laps he's been very strong through there, able to be a lot more confident than Dylan Platt up ahead of him. Again, he'll look for the move up the inside and again backs out of it. So he's filling the mirrors for now, but the fact he can't, or is just not confident enough to keep the car on the inside is all it means is it's allowing Saracino, it's allowing Klont, it's allowing Butcher now to join this battle, as once again Palenz has got so much speed here down in towards the first chicane. He again looks for it then, trying a little bit of a switchback again and getting a look at this run he's now got coming out of Rettifilo chicane. Can't quite find that way past. You saw there that Platt was being a bit defensive here. Again, Palenz looks for a move. He tries to go side by side. Again, he has to back out of it. So Platt is just doing enough to keep his car ahead at this point in time. And I think if you're Pascal Palenz, you might be having a chat to your team and just thinking, well, what strategy could we try to get past Dylan Platt at this early stage? You can see all those positions up and down. Most of them are up because of that. Again, first corner melee doesn't quite sound right. First straight melee, though, is a more accurate statement. Menno Klont having to defend here from Chris Butcher as we head our way in towards the Ascari chicane, and Chris Butcher finds his position. He's now up into 8th place. So nice move then from the THR car. He now makes his way up the order. His next target will be Saracino up ahead of him. And Saracino in front of the home fans here today. He'll be wanting to put a good performance on for his HG Esports Blue Bolt team. Riding on board then with Pascal Palenz again, trying to close in on the main straight down in towards the Rettifilo chicane. He might not be close enough this time, but still you've got Platt who feels the need to defend. And Polenz up the inside. There's contact between the two of them, though. And Polenz, who didn't back out of this one, though, he's been so timid with those moves. And again, it's cost him big time. Dylan Platt has lost a position there to Saracino, who I was talking about how he was grabbing the popcorn and enjoying the show. Well, he'll have enjoyed earning 2 positions out of that for just eating the popcorn, having a great time. And Dylan Platt then falls down to 6th place. Now, I wonder how much damage is on the car then for Dylan Platt. Whether it's going to be enough to really compromise him is anybody's guess at the moment, but that's allowed Chris Butcher to really close up onto the back of Dylan Platt then, which has now become the battle for 6th place. Saracino, meanwhile, will try and run away with this one as best as he can. Up towards Ascari we go. Just checking in on our leaders. And Jan Granqvist does lead the way from Jake Dennehan in 2nd place. Then it's Luke Maguire rounding off the top 3. Senna Stoffmeal is in a little bit of a race of his own at the moment in 4th place. He's managed to clear that little bit of battling he had in the midfield. But now he's 6 seconds behind Luke Maguire as the Super Venturi cars run line of stern. I think this was always going to be the plan of Jake Dennehan, is going to help Jan Granqvist in the way possible. I mean, of course, he is an emergency signing, so that's what you would expect. Here comes Chris Butcher then trying to go up the inside of Dylan Platt, then later on the brakes and able to snatch that apex away from Dylan Platt. That's a great move from Chris Butcher. He moves himself now up to 6th place in that THR car. His teammate is Luke Maguire in 3rd place at the moment, so Chris knows he's got a move to do, but he's on the hard tyres. He's on the hardest tyre possible, and he's the highest running hard tyre runner, so that is going considerably in his favour at the moment. The more positions he gains and the more time he, well, if you like, doesn't lose, that will work into his strategy very, very nicely indeed. If he can try and stay on the back of Saracino, that's going to do his strategy wonders as well. As we make our way. Oh, there's a spinner in the background there. Was that Guzovski? It was Guzovski who finds himself turned around. Did he just get a little bit too much power coming out of the second Lesmo? He's lost his front wing, that's for sure. And it has been a real race of attrition here as Guzovski now has to make his way back to the pit lane without a front wing. That is going to be a huge dent into his chances of a really good finish today. Meanwhile, we watch on with the Super Venturi cars again trying to break away from Luke Maguire. Now, Maguire's on the medium tyres here. So, in effect, what Granqvist and Dennehan would have had at the early stint here was a really good tyre to just run away with, to really take out of. The medium tyres, though, the delta might start coming Luke Maguire's way if he's patient enough. The only thing is, which tyres will he run for his second stint? Now, will he go for medium tyres and just go absolute attack to go onto a hard tyre later on, which might be a strategy worth going for, or does he feel confident to get the medium tyres to a point where he feels comfortable taking the softs to the end later on? It's a very aggressive strategy if he tries that, of course, but we are expecting 1 stops today, so it is a case of whether Luke Maguire decides he wants to go for the soft tyres or whether he's just safe and just wants to push hard on the hard tyres. I guess we'll have to find out together. Meanwhile then, riding aboard with Jake Dennehan, we are expecting the 2 Super Venturis to be on the hard tyres later on in the race, of course, as we are quickly approaching the 11th lap of this race. Granqvist leading the way from Dennehan and Maguire in 3rd place. Stoffmeal in 4th place with Saracino in 5th. Chris Butcher in 6th with Dylan Platt in 7th. Menno Klont in 8th. Silver Yoffert in 9th. Pascal Polenz in 10th. We've got Luke Mitchell in 11th. Perseus Miram in 12th. Ben Willis in 13th. Mateusz Dabrowski in 14th. Mateusz Grzowski in 15th place, rounding off the points. We've still got Simon Frelick, who's making the laps out there, although he is currently at 2 laps down on the leader. But he is still out there. He's still getting some laps in. And, well, you never know if something happens up ahead, there's still a chance for him to grab some points going in towards this. Of course, top 15 to score those points. So he's not far away from points. If he can just keep this together, you never quite know what's going to happen up ahead of you. Jan Granqvist, though, coming off the back of a very, very good period just before the summer break at Austria, Hungary, at Belgium, all podiums, and Austria and Belgium being wins as well. So he's really been in great form before the summer break. 3rd in the championship right now. And having a look at his championship rivals, well, Luke Maguire, who's 12 points ahead of him, is the car behind him. So he can close that gap quite quite some distance. But Szymon Frelich, a championship leader, down in 16th place. There is a good chance he could lose the championship lead going to Singapore later on. But we're only a quarter of the way through this race. We've already seen how much carnage there has been already. Who knows what sort of carnage can happen towards the end. Hopefully it's calmed down a little bit. We saw some great moves as well from Chris Butcher, who's moving up the order. He's up into 6th place. He's just outside of that 1 second gap between himself and Saracino. If he can try and sight that gap even more, there you can see Clont closing onto the back of Dylan Platt here. As we make our way down the start, finish straight. And Clont then in that mode auto concepts machine, heading in towards Retafilo chicane. Oh, that's a little bit deep then from Dylan Platt. Then he has to take to the sort of escape road, if you like, across the chicane. And my thinking is he has to hand that position to Menno Clont, but through the Curva Grande, Clont has the inside line. He'll get the position at least, but Dylan Platt tucks back in, heading up towards the Roger chicane, and Menno Clont up a position then. Dylan Platt getting it wrong in towards the braking zone there. Just had to go straight on. Clont, meanwhile, getting a little bit tail happy coming out of the Roger chicane, but didn't do him too much harm. And he moves himself now up into 7th place. Just leading the way, there he is. Well, at least there's his teammate, Jake Dennehan. Luke Maguire, though, has really stabilised this gap between himself and the Super Venturis, which is good news for him because he's on those medium tyres. So he will have a little bit of tyre delta as an advantage. But as I was saying before, it all depends on what tyres he feels he can get to the end of the race after his medium stint. Now, does he go for just completely safe and go for the hard tyres? Oh, that's a big slide then from Jake Dennehan. That won't help the tyre temperatures. It might actually mean that Luke Maguire gets himself just a little bit closer in that battle for 2nd place. In fact, it does. Gets him to now 1.2 seconds. It was 1.6. Those little margins then not going to help out now that Luke Maguire's found himself within that range. Use that DRS to keep him in this battle, in this train, which is what he wants at this point. Wants the two ahead to try and run away, but now he's got that DRS of Jake Dennehan up ahead of him. You can see now the rear wing is open, so he's now able to match what these cars are doing up ahead of him, if not try and catch onto the back of Granqvist. We ride on board with 2nd place in the championship. Luke Maguire now uses that slipstream from Dennehan up ahead. You can see how much he's closing at the moment then as we head our way up towards the final corner. Parabolica with the THR car. You can see just a little bit, slightly nervous coming out of Parabolica when you try to get the power on, does Jake Dennehan, but now he's got the DRS. What's his thinking here, I wonder? 31 to go. Let's see what he's thinking here. No, not quite a move on the cards there. Certainly thought about it, though. Getting the power down. He's now within half a second, really, of Jake Dennehan, so he's done a really good job here. And I wonder if the soft tyres are just coming to the end of their life at the moment. There'll be a couple of laps in them, but this is where Luke Maguire's tyre delta will really benefit him. He can get these moves done. If he can move himself up, that would put him in a good position towards the end of the race. Heading our way through the first Lesmo. See there, Luke Maguire just putting the pressure on, knows what he needs to do at the moment. With that DRS, he can use that to his advantage with a little bit of slipstream as well, as he's getting a bit of a double toe down in towards Ascari chicane. Of course, that only benefits the top speed you get from the setup in these cars. And again, Granqvist might try to break the slipstream just very slightly. Luke Maguire here is caught up. He's within DRS range, and he looks pretty comfortable at the moment. It's almost like he's trying to say to them, your move, what are you going to do? Heading down the start-finish straight. Lap 15 of this race, 30 laps to go. Granqvist leads from Dennehan and Maguire in 3rd place. Stoffbiel is in 4th place at the moment. These three, it just shows you how quick they've been today. They've managed to pull about 12 seconds over Stoffbiel in being the car behind. In fact, it's close to 13 seconds overall. And our way through in towards Curva Grande, and here comes Chris Butcher down the inside, but he couldn't get it stopped in time. He has to use this escape road where you've got the makeshift chicanes, and that's going to allow Saracino to get just a little bit further ahead as we make our way through the Curva Grande. And Butcher then, he left his braking just slightly too late, and you saw the car snap on him multiple times then as he tried to desperately wrestle the car into some sort of control, but he eventually had to take to that escape road and go through those a little bit of a chicane, which rejoins him, but now he's lost a bit of time to Saracino in P5. Why here, still looking to just put that pressure onto the Super Venturis, because this is now going to make the team think about this. They have to cover off Luke Maguire, but who do they really go for? You would have to think they would pit in Gangqvist and see if Jake Dennehan can put up a battle. At least that's what you would think. But then again, that's why I'm in this box and not out there or not behind a pit wall. Maguire then with that DRS open. Jake Dennehan can look at this, just trying to make it 3 wide. Dennehan gets a bit defensive in towards the Retafiglio chicane, and Luke Maguire has to stay behind for now. This is really a case now where Dennehan knows he has to defend. As we make our way through the Curva Grande, Luke Maguire goes right. Will he try a little bit of a dummy and a switchback here? He thought about it again. He's actually side by side with him heading in towards... Oh, there's contact, and they're both making contact coming out of the Roger chicane. Luke Maguire drives off into the sunset, and Dennehan, well, he's off into the gravel. I think he managed to recover there. We might be able to see him. There he is, coming through in towards the first Lesbo, now in towards the second. But a little bit of contact between the two of them then in towards the Roger chicane. And that has cost, well, that's definitely cost Jake Dennehan a mountain of time, especially on those soft tyres as well, which we were seeing were going a little bit beyond their best before date, of course, at this point in the race. Now 7.6 separates himself and Luke Maguire. There is Maguire trying to chase down Jan Granqvist then. 2 seconds is the gap. We've got a yellow flag somewhere out in Sector 1. And Saracino, I've just seen there, is now not classified. So the Italian at his home race is out. And that's a huge, huge shame because he was running in 5th place there, really keeping Chris Butcher at bay. And that is really, really unfortunate. We have a pit stop then. Jake Dennehan decides enough is enough. He's going on to a fresh set of tyres. Well, he's rather had that card played into his hands as he makes his way now down the pit lane. And where will this rejoin him then, I wonder? I'm sure Ruben Macheda would have said to him, take care of my car. Well, he did a really good job in that first stint. But a little bit of contact between himself and Luke Maguire in towards the Roger chicane has put a dampener on that mood at the moment. However, he's rejoined in 9th place on a fresh set of, I believe that's hard tyres. Pascal Polenz then right side by side with Silver Joffe in this battle for 7th place. As Polenz then later on the brakes in towards the Roger chicane, he does get the move done and he does move up into 7th place. His next target will be Dylan Platt right up ahead of him as we head our way in towards the first Lesmo. Now in towards the second Lesmo. Simon Frelick then still in P15, but with that retirement from Saracino, it does mean then our championship leader is up into the points. But this is not great for him because summer break, or before the summer break, when we headed to Spa-Francorchamps, he finished 14th there, so he only picked up 2 points in his last race. It's not looking good for our championship leader at this early stage in the race, and we do have a pit stop here for Luke Maguire. So what tyres does he go onto? He goes onto the hard, so he was willing to be a little bit more aggressive on those medium tyres. Clearly feels he needs to try something different to try and get past Jan Granqvist. Limiter goes off. Where does he rejoin, I wonder? There he is, trying to rejoin onto the track. Dylan Platt, though, meanwhile, well, brave as you like, gets the move done on Menno Clont then in towards the Retafiglio chicane. And Dylan Platt moves himself now up into 4th place. Now this is critical for Luke Maguire to try and clear Menno Clont then through Curva Grande. He's got the inside line here. This will put him on the outside heading in towards the Roger chicane. Can he try and be later on the brakes there? Menno Clont, oh, I think he's just about... Well, he lost it there under the brakes, manages to catch it, but Dylan Platt, I think that was completely unrelated. And Luke Maguire sails his way through and moves now up into 4th place. Well, he'll be absolutely taking that with both hands, will Luke Maguire, as he looks to try and carry on that momentum. So he's cleared really the traffic he had to get past. Senna Stoffmeal is around about 5 seconds up the road, roughly 5 or 6 seconds. So Luke Maguire's got a bit of clean air now, and Jan Grangqvist has responded. He's now come into the pits. There he is with the change of tyres. Away he goes then. And, well, the Super Venturi team know they have to get Jan Grangqvist ahead of Luke Maguire. Stoffmeal goes through, so too does Butcher. Limiter goes off. Where is Luke Maguire? There he is. And your momentum coming down in towards the Rettifidio chicane is so much better if you've managed to do the undercut. Luke Maguire did have the move done. He's run too deep in towards the first chicane, and that is handed back on a plate to Jan Grangqvist, who says, thank you very much. I'll take that away from you. And the Finn, well, manages to secure and hold on to third place against a Luke Maguire, who I'm sure will be absolutely kicking himself there. Maguire just left his braking slightly too late. He had to take to that, well, almost escape road. It's more like you have to go over the sleeping policeman there. Once you do that, really leave yourself in a very, very vulnerable position. Possibly an opportunity missed for Luke Maguire, but it's not the end of the world, because he will have some DRS here on Jan Grangqvist as we make our way now on towards Ascari then. Now you can see he'll be closing into Grangqvist bit by bit, corner by corner, as we head our way now on towards the final corner, the 11th turn of Parabolica. And Maguire here will be trusting that the DRS will serve him well. We are expecting Senna Stoffmeal into the pits very shortly. He started, of course, on the soft tyres as well, but he's still out there for now as we make our way on board then with Luke Maguire with that DRS. You see then Grangqvist tries to go defensive then as Luke Maguire tries to go up the inside. Now he's taken the racing line, and we have Luke Maguire who gets past then on Jan Grangqvist. As there is Palenz then. That was Jay Dennehan who gets the move done, so he's trying to battle his way through the order then of drivers who are yet to stop in this race. Dennehan has to go the long way round against Dylan Platt. Yes, he's on fresher tyres, but still right around the outside of Curva Grande. It's never easy, and he does get that move done. So Dennehan moves up a position then up into 5th place, as we see there. I think that's the Royal Blue racing car of Simon Frelick. So trying to use those blue flags as Dennehan does manage to slip his way through. Frelick here just trying to make sure he gets at least a point on the board, which is what he has right now. As we see then, there's Senna Stoffmeal, who's still yet to stop in this race. This is how effective these new hard tyres are now against old soft tyres, as they all now make their way up towards Parabolica. I wonder if Luke Maguire is going to hang on here, or will he try and move up the inside? He'll try the latter, because that was the DRS detection point there. Now, did Luke Maguire give himself an opportunity to take that DRS off of Stoffmeal? I wonder, as we head our way down the start-finish straight. He didn't. He was ahead before that line. So Grangqvist then will have a bit of DRS. As we see then, Stoffmeal does come into the pits. The Belgian, who was running in 3rd, now finally comes in to make his stop from those soft tyres. Dylan Platt is also into the pit. As Luke Maguire then up into 2nd place. The Irishman here has it all to do. He's now 5.2 seconds behind his teammate in Chris Butcher. Brief yellow flag is quickly withdrawn. And yellow flag somewhere out in Sector 1. Oh, there's been a crash in the pit lane. Stoffmeal involved there. What on earth happened there? Someone's driving away without a rear wing out of the pit lane. And that is Stoffmeal, who has to, well, if you've ever seen Austin Powers, this is one of those moments. He's trying to desperately get that car around. I can't believe that for Senna Stoffmeal. In that TTF racing car, was running up in 3rd place, completely in a world of his own. But now it's all come crumbling down as we see Grangqvist now trying to battle away for what will be the net lead of this race. And Grangqvist just cannot find that way through for now. I didn't quite see who that car was that drove away without a rear wing. It was Dylan Platt who was driving away without a rear wing. That's what I think it was Dylan Platt. But Grangqvist, meanwhile, makes his way on towards the start-finish straight. I'll have a bit of DRS against Luke Maguire as we got yellow flags out in Sector 2. Riding aboard now with Grangqvist. He looks to try and close in on Maguire down in towards the Rettifidio chicane. and about keeping him with good nick at the moment. Stands though, it's going to be a very, very interesting final few laps. We're not even at the halfway point yet. We're just a lap away from getting to the halfway point into this Italian Grand Prix. Butcher leads though, but he is yet to stop in this race. Maguire in second place, Goangquist in third, Dennehan in fourth place with Polenz, who's just going to the pits in fifth, Klont in sixth with Dabrowski in seventh, Mitchell in eighth, Joffert in ninth and Gajowski in 10th. That rounds up your top 10 drivers as it stands. We will have a new championship leader heading out of this race. But these two are pretty much going to try and decide who it's going to be. We've got someone off at Curva Grande there, picking up a lot of gravel. I think that was Dabrowski. It was Dabrowski who runs onto the gravel on the outside. Lost him 2 positions there. Meanwhile, Polenz and Klont are battling away for what is P5 at the moment. Pascal Polenz has to be careful, though, that he doesn't battle too hard with Klont, because Mitchell will be looking to try and take full advantage of that if he can. And meanwhile, there's our battle for the net lead of the race. In fact, these two battling, and Chris Butcher's actually trying to extend the gap. So that's an interesting one. Chris Butcher on those hard tyres. He started on those tyres. He's now trying to make good use of them. Interesting to see what he can do towards the end of the race. As look who's rejoined the party. Look who's rejoined the battle. Jake Dennehan rejoins to see what he can do. And meanwhile then, we've got a battle here. Luke Mitchell trying to find his way through. He'll use the slipstream of Menno Klont up ahead of him. Are we surely not going 3 wide in towards the Rettifilio chicane? No, we're not. But Pascal Polenz then will have a tighter line. That's going to allow Luke Mitchell to get the power down slightly earlier. And he will have just that little bit better track position. Still side by side they run through the Curva Grande. Will Silva Joffa, one hand in the popcorn, the other hand on the wheel at the moment. Pascal Polenz trying to defend from Luke Mitchell. Mitchell round the outside in towards the Roger chicane. He gets the move done and he moves himself now up into 6th place. Nice move from Luke Mitchell, moving himself up a position. Meanwhile, rejoining our battle for the lead. It's almost a role reversal of what we saw before the pit lane. It's Luke Maguire leading them at the moment with Goangquist in second and Dennehan in third. And here comes Dennehan then, getting the move done on Jan Goangquist. So that's a little bit of a, well, not an easy move, I would say, but that seemed an orchestrated one, a well-communicated one. Jake Dennehan says, look, I've got the pace. Let me have a go. Let's see what I can do. Well, his wish has been granted now as we head our way through the Curva Grande. Look at this. He's all over the back of Luke Maguire then as we head our way through the Curva Grande. Dennehan is looking to try and get his way past the Irishman then. Dennehan in towards the Roger chicane. And the 2 Irish drivers are here battling it out here in Italy. Now going in towards the first Lesmo. It's allowing Chris Butcher as well, again, to extend his gap. It could be one to watch out for towards the end of this race. If these 3 keep battling, this trio we've been so enjoying here, this is allowing Chris Butcher to extend his hard stint. And, well, once he gets onto a fresh set of softer tyres, he will be one to watch, as Dennehan thought about a move up the inside of Ascari, but had to back out of that. It's not really an overtaking opportunity. I'd love to be proven wrong, but it's not normally an overtaking opportunity here. Getting our way now up towards Parabolica once again. Dennehan in that slipstream, looking to make good use of it whilst he can. And of course he will have a DRS as well. 20 laps to go. Chris Butcher still leads the way, but he's yet to stop in this race. Maguire in second, but Dennehan is in third. How much longer will it be that way round as Dennehan goes side by side with Maguire with the DRS, and he will take away second place here. Maguire tries to fill the mirrors in towards the Rettifilio chicane. Not going to happen against Jake Dennehan. Dennehan now moves himself up into second place with that bit of pace about him. He's on a sort of lap or 2 younger or older tyres, I should say, than those around him. So he really had to make those moves work. He has done. He moves himself now up into second place. Heading our way through the Roger chicane. And on towards the first Lesmo. Meanwhile, Pascal Polenz, we see battling away with Silver Yoffert then. So Yoffert's managed to get himself up a position or two, and Yoffert fancies one more here against Menno Klont. Then up the inside, can he get that slowed down? He just about can. Not sure how he made the corner, but does it really matter? He's moved up a position now, and now Menno Klont wants that position back. Through in towards the Curva Grande for P5, involving 4 cars here, as Klont has to go the long way round in towards the Roger chicane. Silver Yoffert defends. He keeps a hold of 5th place for now, but Klont and Polenz know they've got a race on their hands at the moment. This is great stuff between them all. Again, Silver Yoffert feels the need to defend and break the toe going in towards the second Lesmo. Now, I wonder how much that might compromise him. Coming out of the second Lesmo and heading our way now down in towards Ascari. Is this going to be a chance for Menno Klont to see what he can do when the background Luke Mitchell fancies chances as well? But he has to stay behind there. Normally that DRS zone down the Curva del Seraglio is normally a chance for you to catch the car rather than try and overtake. And Silver Yoffert here looking to try and extend the gap as much as possible. I think he'll be hoping that the cars behind him start to battle, but that hasn't happened, and he might struggle down the main straight, what with the DRS of 3 cars trying to get past. Luke Maguire, meanwhile, is having to, well, he's in a bit of a Venturi sandwich at the moment. Meanwhile, Menno Klont with that DRS gets the move done. Behind them is Luke Mitchell and Pascal Polenz battling away for position. Menno Klont has the inside line for 1. He'll be on the outside for 2. He might get the power down a little bit earlier, a little bit better. Oh, Silver Yoffert's lost the back end. He's half spun there, and he'll have to get the car turned back around. Such a shame for Silver Yoffert then, but he just lost the back end as he applied the power. Meanwhile, then Menno Klont is a little bit of a sitting duck there for Luke Mitchell, who takes away that position like it's nothing else. And Klont getting a little bit sideways coming out of the Roger chicane against Pascal Polenz. Wanted to see if he could try and move up the inside, but the gap was just always closing there. He had to back out of it. And as we go then into the DRS zone, as we make our way down the Curva del Seraglio, underneath the old banking we go, and towards Ascari. Luke Mitchell filling those mirrors of Menno Klont then in this battle for P5, which is down to this trio battling away for 5th place. And Luke Mitchell, good run through Ascari here. He's got a really good run. He'll have to go the long way round at Parabolica if he wants this move to stick. Well, moves can be stuck here, but who got to that DRS line first, I wonder? The problem with running wide like that is that you allow someone up the inside, and look at that, Pascal Polenz up the inside. He'll have some DRS, will he? No, he won't. Oh, he now does. We're going 3 wide now, down the start-finish straight. Luke Mitchell now tries to tuck into Pascal Polenz. His slipstream tried to go 3 wide. Luke Mitchell had to back out of it. Menno Klont breaks the latest out of all of them and manages to hang on there. These 3 are having an absolutely brilliant battle right now, as Pascal Polenz will have to go the long way round in towards the Curva Grande. He now tucks back into that slipstream. Lap 27 here. And we see there, Menno Klont is putting up a great defensive display. Luke Mitchell here trying to go in towards the Roger chicane, almost trying to put Pascal Polenz on a compromised line so that he can try and take advantage. Seems to have worked just slightly there, because it's allowed Menno Klont to build a little bit of a gap. Not a 1-second gap, mind, but a gap nonetheless. That might allow here a chance for Luke Mitchell to, you know, sit down, have a sit rep and see what he can do from here. Heading away towards Ascari. Again, Luke Mitchell just filling those mirrors of Pascal Polenz as he makes his way through in towards Ascari. Now back onto the power. Making his way up towards Parabolica for the 28th time here. Or I should say 27th, because the leaders are already on lap 28. Chris Butcher still leads the way, but again, he is yet to stop in this race. Jake Dennehan in 2nd place, Luke Maguire in 3rd, with Jan Granqvist in 4th, Menno Klont in 5th, with Pascal Polenz in 6th, then it's Luke Mitchell in 7th, Silver Yoffert in 8th place, although Luke Mitchell here might be changing his position to position 6, which he has done. Heading our way down the start-finish straight and in towards the Retafiglio chicane. He gets a move on Pascal Polenz. Silver Yoffert is in 8th place, Grzowski in 9th, and Willis rounds off the top 10. Luke Mitchell then knows he's got Menno Klont in his sights in towards the Roger chicane. Might have run slightly too deep into the first part of that, which is so easy to do. You want to attack every single corner here at Monza. Very, very easy. Just slightly overcommit And we've got someone in the pits now. It is Chris Butcher, who's into the pits from the lead, of course, and goes on to a set of fresh tyres as he makes his way down the pit lane then. So this is going to be a stint and a half. What with the battle for 5th place going on, he should be able to rejoin ahead of it. We make our way on towards the pit lane exit, and he's well clear of that battle. So game on for Chris Butcher then. He's got 16 seconds worth of a gap, nearly 17 seconds now of a gap. How much can he close in towards the closing stages, having to start on the hard tyres, or I should say choosing to start on the hard tyres? All eyes will be on Chris Butcher to see what he can do coming towards the end of this race. Is there a chance he can catch Dennehan, Maguire and Granqvist up ahead? Well, let's find out all together. He's actually gone to another set of hard tyres. I don't believe that. Oh, meanwhile, we've got a bit of action down at the Retafilio chicane. Menno Klont was going rather slowly there, coming out of the chicane. And I think that's, yes, it is. Luke Mitchell letting him back through. So a little bit of maybe well, I was going to say a falling out, but they seem to have made amends now as Klont moves up a position. But Chris Butcher, oh no, it has switched over to mediums now. Thank goodness, I thought he put on the hard tyres. And that was going to be a real spanner in the works there, but for all the wrong reasons. So Chris Butcher's onto the medium tyres now for the last 15 laps of this race. He will try and take all the life out of those tyres to see if he can catch the likes of Dennehan, Maguire and Granqvist here. See if he can try and grab a podium, and if not, challenge for the win. Why not at this point? Klont then closing in on Pascal Palenz, going through in towards Ascari. Heading our way through there on towards Parabolica, the final corner, the 11th turn here at Monza. There's such a high-speed track. There's been high-octane action even before we got to the braking zone of the Retafilio chicane on lap number 1. We have lost a few of our big hitters. Fabian Sershik, Lewis Bickers, Sandeep Singh, Giuseppe Saracino. Giuseppe Saracino we didn't actually see retire as such, but he retired from this race around about lap 14. Meanwhile, we're going 3 wide here, almost 3 wide. Down in towards the Retafilio chicane. Menno Klont here gets himself up into 5th place with Pascal Palenz in 6th and Luke Mitchell now down into 7th place. These three have been swapping positions so frequently here. It's been great to watch them as they're all vying for that 5th place. At the moment, it's been taken up by Menno Klont, but Pascal Palenz, Luke Mitchell have all been putting on a great fight here. Might have been a slight bit of contact here and there. A couple of missed braking zones, but they're all racing hard here. And any arguments they've had on track, they've been quick to rectify it by moving aside and letting the other car through. Luke Mitchell then we're riding on board with behind Pascal Palenz as we head on underneath the old banking then and towards the Ascari chicane. And we've got yellow flags somewhere out in sector 2, which is all the way behind us now. They have cleared. Simon Frelick, meanwhile, is into the pit lane. Still yellow flags in sector 2. Meanwhile, Pascal Palenz wanted to go the long way round of Menno Klont then. We get back onto the power and make our way on towards the start-finish straight. Luke Mitchell again will get a little bit of a double toe, which he does. Look at this now to the right-hand side, looking to try and get this move done. Then Luke Mitchell will try and get 2 positions in one straight, if you like, trying to go up the inside of Menno Klont, but he just took a little bit of curb there, unsettled the car, and he couldn't quite take full advantage of that. Meanwhile, Dabrowski is showing as non-classified now. That is a huge shame for Dabrowski there. Meanwhile, still battling away now for 5th place, Luke Mitchell up the inside in towards the Roger chicane. He now takes over on P5, and all this battling is allowing Sylvie Uffert to try and get his way back into this. Of course, he lost the back end. This was a 4-way battle for 5th place. There is Sylvie Uffert. He's very keen, very eager to make this a 4-way battle once again for 5th place. As Luke Mitchell then makes his way through the curve at Del Serralio. Fastest lap of the race then, Chris Butcher. He's on a charge. 15 seconds is the gap so far with 13 laps to go, 12 and a bit if you're picky. He's looking to try and, well, take out the gap as much as possible. Luke Maguire, though, is out of DRS range of Jake Dennehan. So Dennehan's done what he needs to do. He's broken away. Now Granqvist here will try and use that advantage. The fact that he will have DRS and Luke Maguire will not. He will look to try and use that advantage as much as he possibly can. Jake Dennehan does lead the way then. Luke Maguire in second place, with Jan Granqvist rounding off the top three. And again, Luke Mitchell looking in those mirrors, feels comfortable to take that line. So it's Chris Butcher in fourth place, Luke Mitchell in fifth with Menno Klont in sixth place, Pascal Palenz in seventh with Sylvie Yoffert in eighth, Ben Willis in ninth and Senna Stoffmeal rounding off the top 10. Perisis Miram in 11th place, Mateusz Guzowski in 12th, Dylan Platt in 13th, and Simon Frelick rounds off our 14 remaining drivers in this race. We've just recently lost Mateusz Dabrowski. We didn't quite see why, but he has retired, only a couple of laps to go. Giuseppe Saracino in front of his home fans. Unfortunately, to see him retire, we're not quite sure why he retired, but he did retire on about lap 15, lap 16. So a huge shame for him, because he was running up in sort of 4th, 5th place at the time, battling away with Chris Butcher. So what a race he could have had going towards the end. Oh, that's a big tail slide then from Luke Maguire. That's more than enough of an invitation for Jan Granqvist to turn up the heat here. Through in towards the first Lesmo. Now towards the second. And it's starting to get hot under the collar here for Luke Maguire. A little bit of a mistake, and that's going to allow Jan Granqvist to just pile on the pressure as much as he wants to here. As we make our way through in towards Scari. Chris Butcher still closing in on that gap, but is it enough for him to challenge towards the end of the race? Well, the more laps pass by, the more rare that's going to be, but he'll certainly be in and around those positions coming towards the end of the race. Whether he'll be in DRS range, though, is another question. But he's certainly in a position to take advantage of any battling, of any mistakes. As long as he keeps that charge on, he'll try everything he can. Jan Granqvist, meanwhile, then looking to try and get past Luke Maguire. Maguire goes defensive, moves back to the racing line then, and Granqvist is onto the grass. Around he goes. He'll be able to rejoin with minimal fuss, but going in towards the Retafidio chicane, then you saw Luke Maguire was trying to close the door. Granqvist stuck his nose in there still, and the two of them made contact, and it put Granqvist onto the grass. Managed to get up and running again, but that's going to be hugely frustrating for Granqvist then. Felt there, had a chance as Maguire, I believe, has let him go through. Meanwhile, Simon Frelick then has set the fastest lap of the race. Remember, he is our championship leader going into this one. So Luke Maguire has let Granqvist through. So it might turn into a slap on the wrist for Luke Maguire rather than anything else. But Granqvist now ahead. So it is now back to a Super Venturi 1-2. Simon Frelick then a 22.8 from him in 14th place. Again, not the race he would have wanted. He wanted to bounce back from Spa, I know that. Just hasn't quite happened here at Monza. Got entangled in that first lap melee. But has managed to stay in this race, and as long as he makes the checker flag, he should be able to pick up a couple of points. We have 10 laps to go then. Dennehan leads the way. Granqvist in second place, but here comes Granqvist on a lapped car then, using plenty of that DRS to his advantage to try and get himself away from Luke Maguire. And do you know what? It's worked. The Super Venturi car of Jan Granqvist is trying to pull away here, and pull away at some rate of knots. Try and use that to his advantage. Granqvist here was 12 points behind Simon Frelick, and he's 6 points behind Luke Maguire. So even if he were to win this race, Luke Maguire finishes second, then Maguire goes into Singapore as the championship leader by a single point. Now I say that because Dennehan leads the way. 4.6 is the gap. And I wonder what the decision is going to be. Because if you're Super Venturi at this point, you've got Dennehan leading by 4.1. You've got Granqvist, who's battling Maguire for the championship. It's going to be an interesting last few laps here. I would love to be a fly on the wall with that conversation. But for the meantime, Granqvist in second place. You can see the twitch of the car there as he tries to put the power down. He's being really aggressive now and trying to wrangle every bit of performance out of the car. He wants to stay out of DRS range of Luke Maguire. That's his best way forward at the moment. As he gets back onto the power then, going on towards the start-finish straight. Luke Maguire here has a bit of traffic to deal with as well, as Grzowski gets past Miram then. That's for P11. These two are going to be battling away whilst Luke Maguire is also trying to find his way through with the blue flags. And it's not always easy when you're trying to battle away for position and you've also got blue flags as well to let these cars through. But Luke Maguire does manage to clear one bit of traffic in Miran. He's still got Guzovski up ahead of him. Heading towards the Rogers chicane. Lap 36 here in Monza. Hope you're enjoying tonight's racing action. Heading towards the closing stages of this race. Don't forget as well, Singapore coming up in the next round, so hopefully you'll be able to join us for that one. We would love to have you along for it. Closing stages at the moment. You see there Jake Dennehan leading the way, and to make sure he does everything he can to stay ahead. Menno Clont, meanwhile, and Pascal Palenz. These two are going to be battling again, along with Luke Mitchell for 5th place. Sylvie Joffert, who was closing in on that battle, has now gone back up to sort of 2.5 seconds. Which is strange, because he was closing in on a rate of knots. Through here, Menno Clont looking to use that DRS. And at this late stage, you start to try to make sure you're the car behind the one that hasn't got DRS. This is where you're trying to strategize towards the end here. You have to be with that DRS on the last lap. Problem with Monza is, though, that you need to do it on the start-finish straight, really. Set yourself up for the penultimate lap, go on to the final lap with the DRS, try and get a move in towards the Rettifido chicane, and then try and run away. Because the DRS you get towards the start-finish line on the last lap is not powerful at all. In fact, it's non-existent. You can't get the move done. So you need to think ahead. You need to think to the penultimate lap of this race. And at the moment then, Menno Clont looking at it about half a second back at the moment. But here comes Pascal Palenz. He thought about a move up the inside, but no way through for him. Stays behind for now, but getting the power down. Menno Clont struggled for traction, it seemed like. Pascal Palenz will try and take full advantage of that through the Curva Grande. He has to go the long way around and compromises his line slightly. He tucks back into the slipstream though, trying to go up the inside in towards the Roger chicane, but tucks back into the slipstream and tucks back behind Menno Clont. So we make our way through in towards the first Lesmo, now heading towards the second Lesmo. I have to say, these three, Mitchell, Clont and Palenz, have given us a great show for 5th place. Pascal Palenz again in that slipstream of Menno Clont. He moves to the left-hand side. And will he be able to take the racing line in towards the Ascari? No, he has to take a compromised line. That could invite Menno Clont to put some pressure back on. But it's a good move from Pascal Palenz. He moves up a position. Up 4 places from where he started. Chris Butcher up 11 places from where he qualified. Fantastic effort from Chris Butcher then to get his way up into 4th place. It's very unlikely at this stage he'll try and catch for a podium. Just looking at his lap times here, his last lap time was a 24.3. Luke Maguire in that last lap, 26.0. So Luke Maguire struggled on that last lap, but compared to the likes of Jan Granqvist, he's a second a lap quicker than Granqvist at the moment. But with only a handful of laps to go, the gap at the moment is about 12 seconds to Jan Granqvist. So it's going to be a tough one in trying to close that gap down. Meanwhile then, Pascal Palenz is now set his sights on Luke Mitchell. He has to go around the outside, but decides to bail out of the corner. He now has to take to that escape road, go to the right-hand side of that bollard, and that's lost him a mountain of time then. He's actually lost a position to Sylvie Joffert then. In those late stages, that's one of the worst times you can really give up a mistake like that. You haven't got a lot of time to recover now. So all that hard work that Pascal Palenz has put in for the battle for P5, he now finds himself in 8th place and now slightly on the back foot, but it's only going to be an encouragement for him to try and press on and see what he can do in these late stages. Palenz then still closing on Sylvie Joffert in towards the final corner. Joffert will also have a bit of DRS from Clont, but he runs a little bit deep in towards Parabolica. That's going to allow Palenz to really close up on his rear diffuser then. And even before the DRS is open, he's side by side with him. But now you've got Silver Yoffert, who's got the slipstream from Menno Klont. He moves to the racing line there. That was dicey at best. In towards the Rettifidio chicane, and Klont trying to hang on for position. Polenz trying to go around the outside, 2 wheels into the gravel. He manages to try and battle his way through, but Silver Yoffert then, well, I mean, he's really trying to put the moves on. He is absolutely trying to get his way up the order. But there is Silver Yoffert then. He might have to concede this position, but no, he stands firm in towards the Roger chicane. He is absolutely electric at the moment, is Yoffert. He's not taking anything lying down. 5 laps to go in this one. Jake Dennehan leads the way from Jan Grankvist. Grankvist has been closing lap after lap for Dennehan there. This is going to be a critical decision for Super Venturi to make. Jake Dennehan is their emergency driver, signed on that short term to a race here in Italy. I mean, he's sure been put on just a couple of radars over the course. Silver Yoffert then having to defend once again from Pascal Polenz in towards the final corner. This trio goes. It's allowed Luke Mitchell to really break away. He's now 3.4 seconds clear, so he looks to try and solidify that 5th place. Meanwhile, Polenz is looking to try and get a move on Silver Yoffert. Then Yoffert goes defensive in towards the Rettifidio chicane. Pascal Polenz has to be later on the brakes, and Silver Yoffert then takes no prisoners, shuts the door and locks it there as he looks to retain 7th place. And all the while he does this, they're both losing ground on Menno Klont. Here comes Pascal Polenz around the outside in towards the Curva Grande then. Has he got his nose ahead as we head in towards the Roger chicane? He's later on the brakes. He gets that position then. Pascal Polenz takes the position away from Silver Yoffert. A good move from Polenz. He moves up to 7th. Now he'll have his sights set on Menno Klont up ahead. But he's got to be careful about Silver Yoffert. Yoffert has been aggressive in his defending. No doubt he'll want that position back, so he's got to keep his wits about him, as Pascal Polenz in these closing stages did run wide a couple of laps ago, and he'll want to really get himself back on track. Well, 1 position down. He's now got Menno Klont up ahead of him as we make our way on towards Parabolica for these drivers, the 40th time. And you saw there, Menno Klont wanted Pascal Polenz to get past. As Menno Klont fancied the DRS, but Polenz saw that one coming. Down of it. It was almost Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton-esque there at Canada. Meanwhile, then Polenz then opens up that DRS. Can he use that to his advantage now? Heading our way down the start-finish straight and towards the Rettifidio chicane. They're still side by side on their way through. Pascal Polenz has to take a very compromised line. It gets so narrow and tightens up so much at the second part of the Rettifidio chicane. But Pascal Polenz has got the move done. Menno Klont will not take that lying down whatsoever. And Silver Yoffert here as well, trying to get his opportunity, waiting for it now. Polenz here trying to get the hammer down and see if he can pull out a gap in these closing few laps to go here. Polenz in towards the second Lesmo. The gap is 0.8 of a second. It's not enough to break away completely, but he's trying to go the right way about it. As we make our way now underneath the old banking and towards Ascari. Silver Yoffert then still on the back here as we make our way on towards Parabolica once again. Yoffert will be looking to try and score some good points here. He looks to make his way through Parabolica. Back onto the power he goes then. Polenz, who is 4th place in the championship. I mean, it won't be the high scoring points he wants, but I'm sure he'll be leaving with a smile on his face. He's had a great battle with all the way through from 5th to 8th. He's had to recover a couple of times. He has been definitely one to watch here. We're on to the penultimate lap of the race then. Jake Dennehan leads the way from Jan Grankvist in 2nd place. There are your 2 Super Venturi cars. And Luke Maguire is in 3rd place, although he's now come into the pits. So Chris Butcher's going to jump him, but Luke Maguire here, a late turn to go onto a fresh set of tyres. Now, I can only assume he wants the fastest lap here. He feels that's there. So too does Chris Butcher. Now, that was the other thing I was going to say. Chris Butcher was going to jump him, but that's not the case. They're both in. They've executed that double stack really well. They've seen the gap behind them. Now they want the fastest lap of the race. And I guess it's a case for THR to say, well, look, go for it. Why not? And for Luke Maguire, he was 10 seconds behind Jan Grangqvist here. So if he wants the fastest lap, he will try and go the right way about it. So Jake Dennehan leads the way then. He's put on a great show here today. Through Ascari we go. And on towards Parabolica for this penultimate time with Jan Grangqvist closing in on him. And of course, pulled up as an emergency. He's only raced one race here in Superlights, and that was in Britain. He finished 4th there. Is he on here to try and take a win away here and a full 25 points? We are now onto the final lap of the race here at Monza for the Italian Grand Prix. As we make our way now down in towards the Rettifilia chicane for the final time. Grangqvist has now got himself under a second away from Jake Dennehan. I wonder what the strategy here is going to be for Super Venturi. Meanwhile, then Silva Joffe has got the move done on Menno Klont going in towards the Rogers chicane as they now feed their way through in towards the first Lesmo. Now coming in towards the second Lesmo here. There's the leaders coming through the first Lesmo. That's how much they have been absolutely romping away with this one. Is the fact that the gap between themselves and 5th place is a mighty 53 seconds. A very, very big gap at this stage, and Grangqvist getting a little bit tail happy coming out of the second Lesmo as we head our way underneath the old banking for the last time. Now heading our way in towards Ascari. Jake Dennehan then, man from Ireland, called up as an emergency for Super Venturi here, will make his way on towards Parabolica for the final time then. And as we make our way towards the 11th and final turn here at Monza, the Super Venturis will get back onto the power. It's going to be a 1-2 for Super Venturi. It is going to be a win for Jake Dennehan, the emergency driver for Super Venturi. He takes his first race win of the season. A thoroughly brilliant drive from Jake Dennehan. Jan Grangqvist is in 2nd place to make it a Super Venturi 1 and 2. And Luke Maguire here going for the fastest lap. He's gone purple through Sector 1, purple through Sector 2, and he now makes his way through the final corner on full attack here. He wants that fastest lap of the race. Will he go out there and get it? He'll cross the line to take 3rd place in this race. Does he get that fastest lap of the race? And yes, he does. 22.112 for Luke Maguire. I wonder what Chris Butcher behind him is going to do, because he went purple through Sector 2 and Sector 3. And Chris Butcher grabs the fastest lap of the race. 21.6 from Chris Butcher. That's going to be a fastest lap that's going to be absolutely taken away from everybody for Chris Butcher then. Grabbing the fastest Sector 2 and Sector 3 of the race. Meanwhile then, we've got that battle for 5th place coming to an end. Pascal Palenz will beat Luke Mitchell to the line. Oh, that's Silva Joffe who's off at the final corner. Lost his rear wing. Well, he'll try and limp that one home here, as Senna Stoffmeal will try and inherit a couple of points here. He was running up in 3rd and 4th place. He manages to get 8th place at least across the line. Or 7th place, I should make that. But, yes, I know. It's terms up as Stoffmeal as 9th place there, so I don't think he actually jumped him in the end. I've created false drama. Not like me. But there is your race winner in Jake Dennehan, who grabs his first win of the season and a win as an emergency driver. A fantastic feat for the Irishman. Jan Grangqvist is in 2nd place, with Luke Maguire rounding off the top 3. Chris Butcher in 4th, with Pascal Palenz in 5th place. And then it's Luke Mitchell in 6th place, Menno Klont in 7th, with Silva Joffe in 8th, Senna Stoffmeal in 9th, and Ben Willis rounds off our top 10 drivers. To round off the rest, it's Mateusz Guzowski in 11th place, Perisis Miram in 12th, Simon Frelich in 13th, with Dylan Platt 14th, Mateusz Dabrowski. We've got Giuseppe Saracino, Sandeep Singh, Lewis Bickers, and Fabian Sershik not classified at the end of that race. What that does mean, though, is that's 20 points going to Jan Granqvist. It's 16 points going to Luke Maguire, which means heading in towards Singapore in 2 weeks' time, Luke Maguire becomes our new championship leader, but not by very much at all. For the moment, though, it's Jake Dennehan's moment to shine and to enjoy. The Irishman wins here at the Italian Grand Prix. And my goodness me, has he deserved that one. He deserves all the donuts in the world. Jake Dennehan then taking the win for Super Venturi. And of course, a Super Venturi 1 and 2. Maximum points for the constructors there. And they have been phenomenal today, have Granqvist and Dennehan. They've done exactly what they needed to do. Well, at the end of the Italian Grand Prix then, we have a new championship leader going towards Singapore. It's Luke Maguire from Jan Granqvist. And, well, that is going to be a story to tell, that is for sure. And I love that. That was a great race. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And, we'll have to wait and see. Well, we've got quite a few drivers for interview, but we will pick out the top 3 in that race. I just wanted to see if I could pick out... Bear with me. I've got to unlock the commentary box now for everybody. Let me drag in Luke Maguire. He's 3rd place in the race there. Let's have a look and see if he can hear us. Luke Maguire, can you hear us?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. How are you?
Luke, great to talk to you. 3rd place in Italy there. By my calculations, you're the new championship leader heading towards Singapore. How was that race for you?
Yeah, it was a good race. It was kind of like a bit of, they had Super Venturi had 2 cars against me, so I knew very early on in the stint, in the mediums I was catching, and then I couldn't pass, and I knew from there they were just going to slipstream and save the push to pass, and I kind of was fighting with one hand behind my back in that way, so Chris did a great job to get up to P4, but it would have been great if he was up there with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he started on the hard tyres, went on the mediums, and was not too far away from you all towards the end of the race. I mean, as a team, that's pretty much the best it could possibly be. 3 and 4 today, would you say?
Yeah, I would say, yeah. Chris did a great job. If he was up there with us, I think we could have, gave them a good run for the money. But in the last stint, their pace on the hards is really good, especially at the end where they were able to dump all their push to pass.
Absolutely. And just talk us through that battle for the top 3, because it looked close. It looked great to watch. What was it like to be a part of?
It wasn't the most fun because I knew I was trying to keep up with 2 guys that were helping each other, if you get me. So, yeah, it was fun for a while, but I knew at the end that like Jake was just waiting up to slipstream, Jan, or he was pushing to make me use my push to pass, and yeah, so it was really hard to judge it, but they did a great job. So fair play to them.
And how are you feeling towards Singapore in 2 weeks' time?
Good. Yeah, I'm going on holidays now on Saturday, so I won't have much time to practice. But Singapore's a nice track, and hopefully be a nice race between me and Jan.
Absolutely. Well, Luke, we look forward to it. Congratulations on your podium today, and we'll see you at Singapore, no doubt.
Cool. Thank you.
Luke Maguire there for THR, finishing up in 3rd place. Let's grab 2nd place in that race in Jan Granqvist. Let's just drag him in here. We've got to unlock the box for everybody now. That didn't work. Why did that not work? Is it because I didn't drag it down far enough? It's because I didn't drag it down far enough. That would have been why. Jan Granqvist, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Hello there.
Jan, great to have you in the box then. 2nd place for you. You've scored healthy amount of points. This is a good run you're on. 2 wins, 2 podiums. 2 wins, 2 second places, I should say, out of 4 races so far. That's not a bad run to be on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been good ever since I got the upgrade to my rig, and everything has been going well since. I don't know what else to say. It's been good.
Absolutely. I mean, talk us through, Jake Dennehan being an emergency signing for Super Venturi, and he goes and wins the race. I mean, that's not bad to have a hire as a Super Venturi driver, is it?
Absolutely, yeah. He's done an amazing job. Obviously, quite a bit of practice went into this round. We wanted to secure as many points as we possibly could, and I mean, look what he's just gone and done. I mean, it's quite incredible, honestly. He had such amazing pace by the end of the stint because actually our tactics when we were still behind Luke were sort of to force Luke to push or have him well, be sort of in no man's land, not knowing what to do, and I'll just conserve. And Jake pushed and pushed and pushed, and he was able to keep his tyres somehow in check and managed to finish in front of me by the end.
I mean, you all had a great battle in the top three at the very least with yourselves and Luke Maguire. I mean, it was great to watch. What was it like to be a part of?
It was great. It was great fun. A lot of, well, it was more like chess, to be honest, with a track like Monza, because really there aren't many overtaking places. So once you see a car in your mirrors, you already know what's going to happen. So yeah, it was fun though.
It looked fun. And heading towards Singapore in 2 weeks' time, how are you feeling towards? Well, we've now done our last European race. It's a lot of travelling from here, sim-wise, anyway.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what to expect from Singapore. It's going to be the first time for me racing on that track on R Factor, and well, we can only see what happens then, I guess.
Absolutely, and you'll keep us all waiting in 2 weeks' time when we see you on track at Singapore. Jan, congratulations on your second place. Go and enjoy the night and your second place.
Yes, thank you very much.
Going first of the Super Venturi. Unfortunately, I can't see our race winner in Jake Dennehan waiting for an interview. So that, I think, will be that in terms of our top three. But and in terms of our interviews as well. But just leaves me to say a big thank you for watching along. Hopefully you've been entertained by the Italian Grand Prix. As our European stint ends in the GPVWC Superlights, we go travelling, and quite a bit of travelling to do as well. Next up on the 20th of September will be the Singapore Grand Prix, so I hope you can join us all for then. In the meantime, take care of yourselves out there. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Kieran McGinley, and we'll see you very soon. Good night.